Hi guys, I'm Crosbie from Finch Chevrolet in London, Ontario, Canada, and you're watching Cars and Crosbie. Epic road trip adventure extravaganza. All the above is going to be happening in this episode, and I'm pumped. There's a lot of fun things that I've learned on this epic adventure that was 4,000 kilometers long. I used my Escalade over here to tow this car hauler, a C8 Corvette from London, Ontario to Prince Edward Island. It was without a doubt one of the coolest things that I've ever done in my automotive career. And I'm really excited to pass along with you guys a lot of the things that I learned along the way. There's going to be a mixed bag of stuff for you to learn in this episode. I hope you guys enjoy. Alrighty, I'm just finishing up here at the Trailer Hitch Center, and I want to go over one major thing that I always talk about on the channel, and that's to do your due diligence when you're going on a road trip. Make sure that you take it to a professional. Don't be embarrassed about the fact that you've got to outsource to get some help to look over the vehicle. I'd be way more embarrassed that if you're stuck high and dry on the road and now your trip is now put into a position where everything's got to be backstage because you had a flat tire or something that could have been easily prevented. So I'm here at the Trailer Hitch Center, and I just got brand new winter tires put on the truck. I had the brakes checked out. We made sure that everything was operational. I even had a little marker light that was not working that they fixed. And those are the types of things that will pay in dividends if you go and be proactive and get it done ahead of time. So I'm just gonna leave this now, and we're gonna go back to the dealership and load up the Corvette and get it ready for our big voyage tomorrow. All right, in the final stages of getting prepped for tomorrow's big adventure. Got the rig all set up here. Now this has got a non-air ride suspension, and so one of the things that I want to talk to you guys about in this specific situation is getting a lower receiver for your hitch, because if you're wanting to drive over a long period of time, you're wanting to make sure that your trailer is level. And you'll notice that with mine right now, with this lower receiver and the Corvette being on the trailer now, that you had to drop the hitch down at least about 2 to 3 inches in order to make it so that you're not having it on a higher pitch while you're driving. Just installing that auxiliary camera for the car hauler, and I'm using Cars and Crosbie's finest to clean this surface before I mount the wire for this camera feed. All right, HMS Cars and Crosbie is all set up, ready to go. As you can see here, there's a wire running all along the top. That's that auxiliary camera that I put on the back here so that I can show you guys how to use the invisible trailer mode. I don't have the air ride suspension, so I got a lower receiver for the back there. I just finished shining up my Escalade, getting it ready for its 4,000 kilometer voyage. I also treated the leather, and as you can see with my white leather, there's still no bleeding from any indigo from some jeans. I've got hot tub mode on for the ambient lighting, so you'll see it'll cycle from blue to purple to yellow and red. It's even in the footwells down here as well. It's just absolutely awesome at night to be able to see that. And then I got my two media screens back here, and as you guys know, I'm a fan of Costco, so I got my little Costco haul in the back here for me and my buddy that are going on this trip. We got some soda water, we got some cold brew coffee, gotta get the veggies in you, get some potassium so you don't cramp up, and then the trail mix. It's gonna be a fun adventure. Stay tuned, guys. I'm gonna be giving you guys updates all week long as we go on this adventure. All right, exactly 1,004 kilometers. I've got the augmented reality navigation all set up, and then we're also gonna reset this trip thing so we can get some fuel economy on here as well. 5:30 in the morning, HMS Cars and Crosbie is ready to go. Winter tires on, trailer's hooked up, done my checklist, make sure everything is good on it, checked my brake lights, turn signals. There she is, rise and shine. 1,400 kilometers to go. We have exactly 1,002 kilometers to Quebec City for our first stop. All right, fuel stop number 1. We are averaging right now about 26 liters per 100 kilometers. Not the best, but you know, we got a lot of weight behind here. We're towing about 6,800 pounds in total with the trailer. And with this thing being about 40 feet long, it's really interesting with the tow haul mode, how you can add the dimensions of your trailer in to make sure that when you're driving along, if you have your blind spots, it compensates for the fact that you have your trailer in there. So you put all the measurements in, and when you're in trailer mode, right, day 2, 5 a.m. in the morning. I remotely started the Escalade, getting it all nice and toasty warm using my OnStar app. Get down there and get on the road, 888 kilometers to our destination. -11. Just prepped the trailer, made sure everything was good on it, inspected all the lights, make sure no one was messing with my rig attachment overnight. No need to have to worry about that thing dragging off the hitch. Preheated, nice Escalade, all nice and warm. Check out all the logos that you see on the Escalade. Now you kind of see it at nighttime, even just with the Sport. It's still pretty cool. I love, my favorite one has got to be the little logo up there. That to me is my favorite one. 4 days, 4 provinces, 4,000 kilometers, and 4 different seasons of weather, all in one epic trip. Whether it be the stop and go traffic in Ontario, the -20 rolling hills in Quebec, seeing the longest covered bridge in the world in New Brunswick, kilometers in. Pretty confident behind the wheel. The cameras on this have held up pretty well, and this is a condition that's real. You know, having the sleet and everything coming up on this thing, in my opinion, is really giving me an idea of what this thing is capable of in any kind of condition, because we've gone through -15 in Quebec. We've also now been in a nice sunny area in New Brunswick. We're actually behind the world's largest covered bridge, so we wanted to make some cool stops, and we found one of them. We're 1,500 kilometers on the way in. Next stop is the world's longest bridge covering icy water, which is a Confederation bridge. So this is turning into bridges in Crosbie. Stay tuned, we got more coming your way. All right, guys, I wanted to show you my setup that I had on my epic voyage. I've got in here the navigation already set up. And as you can see, the year that Canada was founded, 1867, is the amount of distance that we have to Prince Edward Island. And I'm just gonna go here. You also can notice that there was a street view available. So if it was a commercial property or something like that, I'll just show you that again, guys. If you see in here, when you put in an address, it actually will show you a Google Street View of what you're trying to go to, which I think is just absolutely remarkable to think that all of that technology is integrated in the standard navigation that comes. Now, this display screen here is an OLED display, and it is 100% one of the biggest things that I appreciate on a long trip. And the reason why is because the frame rate that you have in this OLED display is a 60 frames per second. So I'm going to give you guys an example of why that's a really good idea by using a flag that's right over there to see on here that the flag is moving at the exact same kind of speed and everything that you would see on the outside. And why that is really important is because when you're driving and you having to transition from outside the windshield to looking at the screen, you can create a lot of distress for your eyes by having to have it adjust to the frame rate of real life and then looking at a frame on a screen that's a lot slower. Having 60 frames per second, which is again the exact same frame rate that your eye works at, means that on a long road trip, your eyes are not going to get as distressed. And that is one of the biggest technological upgrades that I've seen come on the Escalade that has a very real application that helps you out for a road trip, especially when we're driving almost 2,000 kilometers just there. So my augmented reality navigation, I'm going to hit the go on here, and what you're going to start to see is on here a superimposed animations of where I need to go. So as you can see here, there's an animation that's telling me to get out of the lot here, and that is a live animation that's put on here called augmented reality navigation. Now, when you have a interstate highway or something, and there's multiple different exits that are on this highway, you've never been in that area before, this is an application that really helps out in making sure that you're not making a big mistake. And with having that big 23-foot long trailer behind me, obviously doing a U-E or turning around when you're on the highway is only going to add time to your trip and add to the stress involved with towing and hauling. Towing and hauling. Sorry about that, guys. So the augmented reality navigation really helps out with you being able to gauge where it is that you need to go. And then the heads-up display, which is on the windshield here, you unfortunately can't see it. It also has a distance indicator of where you need to go and turn. And it's also a really great reference. So if, for example, somebody is using the main display screen over here, you still have at all times the ability for you to be able to access the navigation and your speed, and also what the speed limit is of the actual highway that you're on, all on your own individual display screen. So you have, from multiple different screens, there's 5 in total display screens that are on this Escalade. A very good setup for on long road trips. And you're going to also see the camera system that I have set up. One healthy tip that I've made is I've moved the shortcut over here for my camera. When I'm changing gears, the ability for me to be able to press that down there makes it so that I can have my camera easily accessible for when I go into a lot and I'm trying to navigate around. Now, the setup that I have for this trip, you're going to see me on the Epic Voyage have it all set up, but just while we're navigating in and around on a parking lot, you'll see that the overhead view camera right over here is really helpful in making it so that you can have a lot better confidence when you're driving around a lot, and the footprint of this vehicle is significantly reduced because you know exactly where every angle is through these side view cameras, the overhead view camera over here. So I'm making sure that I'm not getting too close to that light post right over there. And then I'm also being able to see what's behind me in case, you know, maybe there's someone that's really trying to swoop over and change into the oncoming lane because they think they're going to pass me or something like that. So it really gives me a lot more confidence by having all these camera systems. And as you'll see on my trip, I'm very happy to report that they do very well at holding up over all the Canadian experiences that I had in the weather and making those screen displays do well. So this is my setup for the road trip. These seats are very comfortable. I'm very happy. My back doesn't have any issues after being on the road trip. Again, I've already done this trip, so I'm just kind of giving you guys a conclusion of it because I thought, you know what, this is a really good idea for me to shoot after the fact so that you guys have a lot more insight on what the trip is like instead of me just predicting what it's going to be like in the beginning parts. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. We're going to go back outside. Our first look at some boats, some fishy boats. All right, guys, 2,000 kilometers, almost on the dot. I couldn't have timed it any better in terms of the distance. This has been an amazing adventure. I'm really just happy to know that there's people from coast to coast that are really awesome to be able to deal with. And there's a blind faith with Canadians that we're all just great folk. And I'm really happy about how this trip has done. I'm going to obviously have the other half of this on the way back, and I've got to pick up a Corvette in Montreal, but I've had enough time in this Escalade driving the Corvette behind me to already take away some things that I'm really excited to share with you guys. I'm very, very impressed with the landscape, but the problem is that I can't see it because the sun set at 4:20 in the afternoon here in PEI. We're so far up north that right now the days are extremely short, and we're really not that far away from winter solstice as well. So unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to take as many scenic views of PEI for you guys as I anticipated. I even brought a drone to be able to show off some of the cool lighthouses and maybe even some shots of the ocean. But unfortunately, almost immediately after we got over the bridge, the sun went down, and ever since then we've been in complete darkness. It's in its new home with a nice vintage GTO behind and a dream retirement coachman in the background, hitting a nudge to my wife at what I want to get when I retire. Here it is, guys. We've got it all shined up, and we've got the exposed carbon fiber top on it now instead of the transparent top. I really like the exposed carbon fiber top because it kind of breaks up the colors, and you'll notice that we also have on here the front grille inserts that are done in carbon fiber. There's a couple of options that you can do down the road if you're wanting to continue with that theme, or if you're looking at trying to turn it into the black accent features, you can go back to the transparent top and you can do some other accents in the future. But this is really the fun part about owning a Corvette. almost all the things that you can do with this are very easily accessible from any parts department. So really, at the end of the day, just getting to know your Corvette, enjoying it, and then over the course of the few years of owning it, adding additions is really where I think most of the fun comes from. You know, me having my Corvette now for almost 3 seasons, we're coming up on the 3rd season for me, I'm starting to get into this situation where I'm doing my research for the next year, and I have people now that are coming to me that are in their 2nd year, and that really is the fun thing, is you get to kind of go back into it over the winter, do your research, and come up with new ideas. So if you guys are ever interested in learning more about a fun project for the next driving season, this is the time that I'm doing my research for it. I hope you guys enjoyed this part of the episode. We're gonna go to the next one when we go back on the road. Just fueling up before we go back over the Confederation Bridge. It's been a dark experience in PEI. Fuel here isn't bad though. Out of all the places we've been, PEI has the cheapest fuel. I did not think that. We were kind of trying to guess as we went along. And $1.30 a liter right now is the going rate for fuel on PEI. To show you guys my setup while we got a nice view here and the sun rising behind us. This is our trailering setup. I've got the side cameras and then also the trailer that's mounted on the back there, which is, you know, in terms of being able to have more confidence and knowing what the footprint of this vehicle is on the road, I really think that it's a helpful tip in making this trip a lot easier. The augmented reality navigation has been a really big helpful tip in terms of being able to find out which exit I need to take, and then I also have my heads-up display, which is right over here. So in terms of my setup for this voyage, this is what I've been working with, and then we've got up here a little mount for time lapses. We are 2,800 kilometers into this trip. We've already dropped off the Corvette, and I've had this empty for a couple of 100 kilometers now, about 500 or 600 kilometers. And I have noticed that the tow haul mode on this is really helping out with crosswinds in particular. There's a little bit of a suction that happens when a big semi truck will go by, and I have noticed that it is increased a little bit more. And by accident, I turned off the tow haul mode, and I didn't recognize that it was off until I had a truck go by. And immediately after I turned the tow haul mode back on, I could tell that it was using the trailer brake controller to be able to compensate for when that went by. It could detect that, and it would try to straight its course out. So very happy to report that if you do have a GM vehicle and you are using tow haul mode, it is going to make it have you, or you're going to have a lot more confidence when you're going on the road. And I think that's the biggest thing that I would take away as the difference between having a full load behind me with 3,500 pounds of Corvette and having an empty load and some more aggressive crosswinds affecting the vehicle. All right, made it to Montreal last night, loaded up the Corvette, and we were welcomed with some freezing rain this morning. This is going to be another test for the Escalade and the trailer today. We got to make sure that we're taking our time and being careful, as we've got a new weather condition on our hands here that we're going to get another badge of honor and get safely back to London on. Stay tuned, guys. right, Finch Chevrolet, 3,906.8 kilometers down. I am very happy to be back. Mission accomplished. Woohoo! I made it back, and it was a windy one. The crosswinds near the end were something else. And as you guys can see, I didn't come home empty-handed. I brought home a new friend for us to enjoy. And this is following suit with the Corvette that I just dropped off, having 239 kilometers on it. Again, a little windy out there. Just gonna give you a sneak peek. You don't get to hear about all of it right now, but for the sake of finding a new home for this, I'm just gonna show you the basics of this. This is a 3LZ Z07 with a two-tone suede interior, very similar to the 3LT that we have in the showroom in terms of styling, where the red is the accent and then black is the primary. And yeah, it's a pretty awesome vehicle. Exposed carbon fiber all the way around. Ceramic brakes are on it as well. And just like what we had on the one that I just delivered to Charlottetown, this one's got under 300 kilometers on it. It's basically brand new. I'm kind of getting a little bit of a reputation as being the guy that has all the time capsules, all these collectibles if you're wanting to get one. And in my opinion, this is one heck of a car to represent the Z06 from the C7 generation. So we got a C7 Z07 going on the lot pretty soon. We'll do some more episodes on it in the future once I get some rest. I've had a long 4 days of traveling, and I want to get back in touch with all the people that I haven't been able to get to via email. If you call to me, I had a lot of time to talk to some of these folks, had some really great conversations, and I'm going to pass it all on to you guys in the next few episodes featuring Corvettes. All right, well, obviously we're back, and I don't know about you guys, but that was a lot of fun. Just even watching the film in review, it was really fun to be able to see the landscape change over the course of the different provinces that we were in, and how this thing performed. Honestly, I try not to sound too cliche on this channel. I'm not trying to, bleed General Motors in every way. I'm very much a devil's advocate because I want to make sure that your concerns, if you're looking at getting a vehicle, are answered. If I'm going to buy a vehicle like this, I'm not just going to do it blindly. I want to make sure that I'm making an educated decision. And the one thing that stands out in particular to me is how much this exceeded my expectations in terms of the overall fit and finish of the ownership experience. And that's really something that's hard to describe in a video or just in any kind of walk around that you might have if you go onto a lot. There's a lot of little things that add up that make me feel like I made a really good decision in purchasing this vehicle. A lot of the little details in terms of how they appointed the vehicle and how it rides on the road really make me feel that someone was thinking this out very well. And I'm going to give you one example in particular of how dynamic the team is with the Escalade. While I was driving, the auxiliary camera mode did not calibrate properly. There was an issue with the fact that I mounted it on the very top and not in the center of the car hauler, and the calibration was not allowing it to line up on the display screen. I'm very fortunate that I have somebody that works for General Motors that I could reach out to, and within a couple of hours I was on the phone with 3 engineers that were taking care of this problem. By the next morning when I got out in Charlottetown and got onto the road, they had already sent an over-the-air update to every single Escalade that had the advanced trailing package on it, and the problem was fixed. Now you might be saying, well, hey, you knew some guy at General Motors, but the fact that they were able to solve a problem and then send it out over the air shows you the kind of dedicated team that they have on this. This is this vehicle they're very proud of, and for them to be able to solve that problem in a day and send it out to every single Escalade, obviously there's not a lot of people that are hauling a Corvette behind it, so I'm sure I'm going to give them a little bit of a break on why this calibration issue happened, because probably no one's done it before. But it just really reiterated for me that I was dealing with a product that went above and beyond what you would normally see in a customer experience. Now that to me is just one of many examples that I have with this Escalade, and the overall experience, I couldn't be happier. I've got 8,000 kilometers on it now, and I'm excited to show you guys what else I can do with this Escalade in future episodes. I was
very humbled by this trip. It wasn't just a delivery video. This was a voyage to cross off my bucket list, as I got to see so many amazing things on the open roads. If anything, I encourage you guys all to try to do a trip like this. Whether it be in an Escalade, a truck, or even in your Corvette, there's plenty of things that you can take away from this episode. I really enjoyed all the creature comforts inside of this Escalade. It really helped out in making this voyage an unforgettable experience. I had live stream camera viewings from the rearview mirrors that we had through an auxiliary camera. I had augmented reality on my navigation system, a heads-up display, and then also a lot of great footage to be able to shoot for you guys on the beautiful sunny days that we had. While they lasted though, we were so far up north that the sun set at 4:20 in the afternoon. So a lot of the content that we planned on trying to shoot for this episode, we couldn't shoot because it was already dark.
All right, guys, we got a windy one on our hands, so I wanted to shoot the rest of this and the conclusion in the back here. Obviously, this is a different color than the one that I delivered because I had my second C8 Corvette from the showroom get sold, and I wanted to show you the service that we offer when you purchase a Corvette in the winter from us. Obviously, with GM's strategy of making these things an all year round delivery vehicle for us, we wanted to make sure that we could offer you a service so that you could have this to enjoy in your garage at home. And I hope that this doesn't get me in trouble with the amount of people that reach out to me from all over the country, because I can't be doing PEI trips every day. But for the local area and in Ontario especially, if you purchase a Corvette from me and it arrives in the winter, this is the type of service that we expect you to have. I want you to be able to enjoy your Corvette in your own garage instead of it being in our showroom. So I've loaded it up, and as you can see, I've moved it a lot further ahead than we normally would have because I want to have that weight over the axles. When you're driving this Escalade, it obviously you can tell that it has a significant amount of weight behind it. We're looking at around 6,000 pounds with this setup, with this enclosed trailer. It's a 23-foot long trailer, and the Corvette itself weighs about 2,500 pounds. So you're dealing with around 6,000 pounds. Obviously, setting yourself up for long braking distances is an important thing to take into consideration. I'm actually looking into getting the 6-piston brake option that you can put on the Tahoe, Yukon, and even the Silverado and the Sierra. So I'm looking at trying to do that. I'm going to paint the calipers black because they come red from the factory. So that's an upgrade that I'm going to be looking at trying to do just to make sure that I have even more confidence, because I did notice that on our full-size SUVs, the braking system is made to be a lot more comfortable. They don't want to have that jerky motion when you're in an Escalade, but when you're hauling a significant amount of weight, it kind of counteracts what they're trying to tune the braking system with the Escalade to do, which is to be a nice even flow of the braking pressure to make it a smooth stop. Not to say that I'm in stop and go traffic that's flooring it and then braking it, but that was definitely something that I picked up upon that had room for improvement if you're going to be hauling with the Escalade, Tahoe, and Yukon. Just again, because the braking system that they have is a lot more refined for a comfortable ride instead of it being more performance orientated. And I consider this performance orientated because it's a workhorse. It's hauling a lot of weight. The weight capacity of the Escalade, for example, is around 7,800 pounds in terms of towing. And that's also taking into consideration that you have significant payload in there. I loaded up, my little sandwich station in the back with Costco, because there's a lot of the times where we were not able to go in and have a functional meal because we're on the road. And we went through quite a bit of fuel when you're hauling an Escalade, and that's with the 6.2. And a strong suggestion would be to get the diesel version, because I think that would also significantly reduce the cost of towing with one of these vehicles. So overall, the braking, room for improvement in terms of making it a little bit more assertive. The fuel economy, I would suggest if you look at the diesel version, if you're going to be doing a lot of towing in any of them, not just the Escalade, it would be a healthy suggestion. In terms of the trailer itself behind here, it honestly was like a dream. The power that is on this Escalade, with it having 460 foot-pound torque, was more than enough for me to be able to get the job done. And again, I just kind of was left with the impression that it far exceeded everything that I expected in terms of overall driving experience. So in terms of your experience, if you're a client of mine, this is a service that you can come to expect. Again, I don't want to have you guys, know that your car is in a showroom or maybe in one of our undisclosed storage locations over the winter. I'd rather you be able to enjoy it if you had friends over and you wanted to show off your beautiful Corvette. So if you're part of the Cars in Crosby program, expect this kind of service. If you're interested in seeing some more projects that I do in the future, please reach out to me. And I'm excited to be able to get on to some more projects that I'm going to be doing. If you're interested in learning more, I have my email in the below. Stay tuned for more awesome content. I'm Morgan Crosby, and happy motoring.